I hope everyone's morning is starting off well. I'm going to start this morning by saying that, it is a wonderful, wonderful moment when you wake up and you are in the presence of the world and you can breathe air and if you are in good health. So I'm going to ask everybody right now to just, thank God for that. If all hell breaks loose in every other realm of your life today, just be grateful that you woke up today and that you were able to worry about things other than your health or not being in this world at all. I think sometimes that we have to have moments to humble ourselves, myself included, to just remember that, sometimes everything can be going great and you can fail in the part of life of health. Everything could be going bad and you could be excelling in that part of health. At the end of the day, no matter how it's going, if you're not healthy to enjoy it or if you're not here to enjoy it, it's not going, right? So I just want everybody to be cognizant of that. I'm starting there. Before we get into all, because this topic is going to be fun, it's going to be hot. I do want to say, I want all of us to acknowledge what I just said. And in that moment, I'm going to ask everybody who's already in the chat, if you don't believe in the power of prayer, I'm just going to ask you to just kind of bear with us for a moment, but stay with us. Every Monday going forward, when we start 2 Ps in a podcast, we're going to start 2 Ps in a podcast off with a prayer for Brian Barchak, until he's better, until he says, I won, because he's going to win. For those of you who've never faced cancer face to face, thank God I never had to deal with it personally myself, but I do carry a cancer gene. I do think it's so important that, guys, you know how I am about this topic, right? So I lost my dad to cancer. So my fight for cancer that y'all hear me talk about all the time is real. And whenever it hits like it's hitting now, because, for most of us, unless you've been in here in this hobby for the last 5 years, most of us, Brian Barchak, along with the Kevin McCurleys, and, we talk about this all the time. He's amongst those people that, we just have to be grateful for. Lori, have to be grateful for it. As a woman in this, Lori was one of the first representations of women in the hobby, her amongst a lot of others, but they were few back then. It's a lot now, but it was a few back then. I think it was her, Tracy Barker back then. Probably a handful of women, actually, that was doing it and not just attached to the counterpart that they were with. So they're a huge part of this hobby. I can tell you, out of all the cancers that are out there, y'all, the reality of it is that pancreatic one is that, and Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer are two of the worst. And if you have have dealt with people who battle cancer, right, in any other form, like I'll use my dad for example. My dad fought it for years. It went to his brain twice. It started off in his lung, went to his brain twice, went to his liver, went to his parts of his stomach, but it didn't kill him until it went to his kidneys and his pancreas, and it took him that fast. My uncle, pancreatic cancer is personal to a lot of people, and I will tell you guys, as the world goes on and things are happening, these cancers are just continue to come for many reasons. And it's a whole nother 2 Ps in the podcast if we want to talk about that. But what I want to do is right now, if everybody can just bow their heads with me for one second, and then we're going to just kind of welcome everybody in the chat. But for 1 second, you can bow your heads with me. And I just want to start this morning off with prayer. Father God, we thank you for all the people that are here this Monday morning at 8 a.m. We are grateful and we acknowledge that it's a blessing to be amongst your presence right now. God, we thank you for the good that you have placed in all of our lives, the greatness of breath this morning. God, we know that every day is not easy. We know that we all will face challenges, but through you, we face them boldly and we come on the other side of it in grace. We don't know what your intentions are whenever something comes amongst us, but we ask you this, as the Bartek family go through this, that you give them the strength that they need, not just Brian himself, because God, for what I know, and I've seen that the cancer patient is only the strongest. It's the family that suffers. So I ask you, God, that you give him the peace that he needs in his heart and his mind to just fight the cancer and put a protection around the family. Because as a father and a husband, the first thing, the natural thing is that you got to be strong anyway. And we want him to know, God, that yes, he has to be strong, but right now you got Lori in the family, you got the Reptarium, you got his audience, and you're going to just make sure, God, that he comes out of this strong, and that there's a testimony in this reptile community and through the world that the most important thing in life is health, God, family, loving those who you are close to on a daily basis, God, forgiveness, God. I struggle with that. Strongholds, Lord, to release them, because you don't know what challenge that we really would have to face, that we literally have to surrender totally to you. I ask that you do that for Brian and his family. Anybody else that's suffering in any kind of way today and this morning, God, I ask that you elevate yourself amongst this situation. Lord, I ask that you remove the fear that is amongst a lot of us right now, Lord Jesus. Lord, I ask that you just please touch Brian himself right now, wherever he stands this morning, God, and tell him he has the victory in this, Lord Jesus. Tell him that his faith will guide him through, God, and let him know that you have his family, and all you want him to focus on is him and the fight. Right now, God, you don't need him to be the father. Right now, God, you don't need him to be the husband. You need him to be your son and lean on you, God. And I ask that everyone who will hear this prayer, pray that every morning until we hear from our friend that he has won and that he has the victory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you all. Dre, thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. So, guys, I know that was a little heavy, but we needed that. I do believe that prayer changes. And like I said, every Monday, we're going to start that off with a prayer for Brian until he comes on and say, I won this thing, because he will win. Dre, you earlier than I thought you would be. Go, Dre, speed, demon.
Yeah.
Or was it because we was talking? He was going to try.
It's funny because I was listening to the podcast while I was out too. So I was like, let me make sure, because she be throwing her little shade. It don't even be shade. It be whole fucking trees and shit.
It be real, no.
Whole trees and shit out there. So
Let's start off before we kick it in. Good morning, Bosa. Bosa was number one this morning. Good morning, Keys. Good morning, bro.
Hey, y'all gonna stop throwing shade at me, all right?
Good morning, Melinda.
Good morning. Good morning.
Keisha, good morning, sis.
Good morning, Keisha.
Good morning, Rock.
Rock.
Good morning, bro. Hey, Tammy. Good morning.
Good morning, Tammy.
I'm rolling. Hi. Good morning, Justin.
What's going on, bro?
Good morning, Karache.
Good morning. Good morning.
Holly, good morning, my love. Good morning.
Good morning.
Lindsay,
good morning, Lindsay.
KT, good morning.
KT, my guy.
Busy in his house. Good morning, Christina. Good morning, Wheels. Hold on. Make sure my hair good, my lighting good. Is my mic on? Mic on. All right.
We've been hearing you.
That's nice. I got a nice little F&A shirt. I'm flexing. Will, take your notes. Will, take your notes. Will is going to have a podcast where he actually critiques the podcasters. I mess with him all the time. I've been sending him threats, Dre.
Hey, I don't got nothing to do with that, man. Critique on. If you got any negative feedback, you can send it to me.
Send it to
I'll make sure she get it because I ain't scared of her, so I can say it. But you know, she be throwing around them threats.
I love it. Well, I mean, like
Morning,
I said,
nameless.
I'm kind of actually like looking forward to this podcast now. I think it would be funny, actually. You know, I just told Will, what I told him is just to send it through me first, so I won't be shocked. Like if he just come out talking about my hair like you do and stuff like that, I need warnings. Don't just don't be coming out there talking about my wigs and stuff like that.
I'll talk about them for sure.
I need 3 warnings. But sometimes you talk about my wig and it's not a wig. So I need you to know when it's a wig and when it's not. Or when it's a weave and when it's a wig. There's a difference.
I'm never going to know. I'm never going to know.
Oh my goodness. But yes. I just wanted to get through the chat because this is going to, once we roll, this is going to be a rolling. Good morning to all my lovelies in the chat. I'm working but listening. Okay, Christina, Wayne, and Alice. You know what? I don't want to hear nothing about what y'all got to do. And y'all can't tap into these podcasts because Wayne and Alice are not missing them. And I don't know how they're doing it, but they are literally like relocating across the earth. And the Wi-Fi is working, okay?
Not relocating across the earth.
They are. They're going to Ireland. Yeah. Yes, nice shirt, AJ. Good morning. Good morning. Driving to work, but listening through the Bluetooth. Okay. It always happens to the nice ones too. Brian is the nicest person I ever met, and I watched him to be nice to hundreds of people. It was amazing. So when my sister got cancer, we joked and laughed because she was the one who never did anything, like never drank, never smoked, you know, none of that stuff. Like smoke anything. I'm not just talking to cigarettes. Some of us but she never at that time. So what we said was out of all the children, it got her. But I do believe that was the best one. I don't think I could have won a fight. Like she was single, and one of the things that I always say is when you are a spouse, you start to worry about what your spouse is going to go through. I think not having that stress sometimes help you beat you know, those type of situations as well. So that's why I want Brian to focus on him. Although it's not the natural thing for a husband and a father. Good morning, everyone. Heading into work. Let's make this Monday beautiful. Yes, Keisha. Make it beautiful. Oh, Large Marge Morse. Y'all remember Large Marge from the Alamo? Pee Wee Herman. Oh, am I going too old again? Y'all remember? Y'all, you watched the movie Pee Wee Herman. Dre. If you did not, I will purposely send it. I will send it to you after we get off. That is not acceptable. Watching Pee Wee Herman is like a classic.
I mean, I know who Pee Wee Herman is, but no, I've never watched it.
You remember that part when he jumped up on the ball? He was like that. You remember? All right.
I remember. I'm just not as excited as you are. I remember. Unfortunately. You sure it was him or was it you back in your Ohio days?
It was him. Good morning, Kai. Hello, all friends. Go to the Brian and the whole Barjack family. Oh, you're welcome, Holly. Good morning, Ray.
Ray, what's going on?
All right. I think I have everybody. If I missed you guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started. If I missed you, you know I love you. I ain't doing it on purpose. Let's start. So the topic Is this pretty much one of the things that I found common in the reptile community. Not that something actually, because I have, been blessed at least half of my reptile journey with the person that I'm with. But I can tell you that prior to them, not just with relationships, but I mean, romantic relationships, but even with friendships, you had to convince people to accept your animals or accept your dedication to them in one way, shape, or form. I can tell you that even for me and Slim, it was when I got into the reticulated pythons and then the breeding ball pythons, he had a lot of wait a minute moments, like what kind of money we spending? Like, wait a minute on the snake. And to tell somebody that who really don't value a snake at that particular point, like he ain't even, I don't like them. I don't even want them in the house, but we don't spend this kind of money to get them in the house. That's hard to do. What is the great thing for myself and people such as myself, when you have a partner who, okay, I'm not feeling the whole snake situation, but they're feeling you. So long as it's making you happy, you get to go ahead and do those things, but it can still put a strain on that relationship if that communication is not open or that understanding is not mutual, if that's what I mean. Like, so for me, yes, I got to continue to spend money because my husband started to get more and more of an understanding, but I never spent money. I didn't just order snakes. I talked to my husband first and say, hey, babe, I want this snake. I might do a whole lot of, praying hands, funny faces, all that stuff as I'm doing it. Let him know how much it costs and give him that information. And then we have the conversation, whether he agrees or disagrees, at least we having the conversation. Then he just go ahead and he's never, some of these things he's never nodded his head and said yes to. It was more of just acknowledging the fact that we had the conversation because she wants the snake and she's going to probably go get it anyway. But everybody don't have that in a relationship. Some people have people who, I heard recently, people who have killed people's animals because they were so jealous and envious of the snake. Like, that's a good way to go out of here. That's a good way to get taken out, taking one of my animals. But hearing that, I'm like, wow, like people that serious, does the envy go that deep? That someone would be envious of the money that you're putting in your snakes or the time that you're putting in. Because that's one thing I will say. Thank God that my husband has a home life outside of me. Like, he loves to be in his man cave. So it's not like he has to be up underneath of me for 8 hours. I'm more of the clingy quality time one. But because I have so much to do with the snakes, it's hours on some days that I'm just dealing with them. So if he was the type who really needed or desired my full attention most of the day, it would suffer. Our relationship would suffer. It's just fortunate that he loves his space. And so therefore he's content knowing that, I'm in the house, I'm doing what I'm doing, and it's no strain on our relationship. Dre, you want to go ahead and give some feedback while I go through this?
Yeah.
Lies, you've been stressing Slim. My niece always say, Uncle Slim, blink if you need me. Blink if you need me.
Me being on the opposite spectrum, I haven't had that. Just it's always, especially now, it's always like when you tell somebody you got snakes, you get no reply. And it's kind of funny because it's like, well, damn. But prior to that, it was always, just like a debate or an argument, like, well, why do you have to get this? And you have this many. Why do you need this? And it was like, why do you need to be worried about it? Like it's hard when you're passionate about something and you and your hobby. You're gonna get to a point where it's hard not to sound selfish, and I think some people don't understand. Like, especially when it comes to reptiles, it's hard not to. You can start off collecting. You can start off just wanting one, wanting two. But eventually, after doing it for so long, you're going to pick a side on whether to be a keeper or a breeder. But even as a keeper, you're going to want to do your part to contribute to the reptile world, to educate, to help people get over their fears, to show people like these aren't bad animals. So, of course, you're going to have a variety of animals because there's so many that you like. And me personally, it's easier now that I don't have that problem anymore. But it was definitely tough, and it caused some issues. There'll be times when this particular person thought I would have to check with her before spending money, and I'm just like, oh, we're not married.
Okay, so yeah, and you're not married. And even if you're married, like some people who, when they're married, like we just do the whole. We have different separate accounts, right? But like I had we have a business account, and I have a separate account that I have I used to have my partnership stuff going to. Then we have the account that pays all of our bills, and then he has his own account. But we know what's going on with each account. Like so, for example, and I think that's important. Like we don't track what goes out of each other's accounts per se, because it's kind of like our money. I don't know if you remember the episode of Martin when Martin and Gina had the account, and Gina couldn't buy it. Martin couldn't buy the TV, but Martin could buy the Jordan, because that's the same. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's still going to be your money if you marry at the end of the day. So we still have the conversations, but sometimes, especially with me, because I'm not as good with not being impulsive and spending as my husband is, I might spend the money and then say, hey, babe, how much you got in your account? So it's important that I know it's there. So I can draw from that too. But no, I think the importance is that still the communication piece. Because it is. I just flip it to this. I could not understand my husband for years, and Dre, you might can relate to this, with his obsession with custom tennis shoes and standing in line for a pair of shoes that cost $1,200. Like I could not, y'all. When I tell you, I could not. I used to get, where you going? I'm going to stand in line because these new dopes was coming out or whatever. I'm like, you gotta stand in line to pay that kind of money. Like, because for me, Balenciaga, when you order them, they come nicely wrapped and cater to you. I gotta stand in line for Balenciaga. So I don't get it. And so I could not understand it. So when he would spend $400, $600, $1,200 on a pair of tennis shoes, y'all, I would cringe, but it was his fashion. It was his thing. It was his thing, And then wait a minute. The funny story, y'all, is the one time he bought me a pair of these shoes, right? So the shoes, he get the shoes, and he's excited. He's excited. People on my personal Facebook page, they remember this. He bought me these shoes. I forgot what they call. That's how uninterested they was. Jordan 11s or something like that, but they was custom. They was this tan color, whatever. Anyway,
them the ones you wore to Tinley the first year you came?
He made, let me tell you the story of me wearing them to Tinley. Listen, that was the first time I wore that shirt. He bought those shoes specifically for the shirt that I wore, that ball constrictor shirt that I had on. So anyway, he's excited. I go and I'm like, and then I post the shoe and I'm like, what's wrong with me? I said, because my husband's absolutely excited and I don't know what the excitement. Everybody bring me out in this post. Like, you are so ungrateful. I'm like, wait a minute. I was asking y'all to explain it to me.
She is ungrateful though, y'all.
No, I'm not. If it was a Balenciaga, I get very excited. I do 2 steps and dance and everything. He'll tell you that. I just didn't understand that particular shoe. But his thing was to try to get me to understand, why he was so excited about it. It just didn't do it for me. So sometimes we have to understand that as couples, just because it's not my passion to understand, I can tell you that he don't do that no more. Like, he's more interested in what we spend in the snakes now. But let's say if I didn't support that, like to the point where I'm like, oh no, we're not spending that kind of money on shoes and stuff like that, right? Would he have supported me as much? And would he have now? Because now his passion, he doesn't spend that kind of money. He's more on, okay, babe, we got 6 enclosures that's ready. We need to do this, that, and the other. So I think what people have to realize is that, because what I don't like to hear is when people say stuff, Dre, like, I'm going to do it anyway. That's a good way to destroy your relationship. And I love my reptiles too, but you can't just do it anyway. That person has to live in that household. Like, I remember getting a retake. His mind just could not fathom that we was going to have 15-foot snakes at some point, you know. And so he for a long time, and y'all can remember this, he had to tiptoe in his own house. He was terrified, like tiptoe through his own dining room area, because that's where I had put all the snakes, those retics at the time. And he would peek and stuff like that. If that's not fair, if I just put them animals in there and never had a conversation with them, at least he was able to grow into them, opposed to me saying, well, I'm gonna get them anyway, and we got these big old snakes now just riding around the house. Like, no, you're gonna destroy a relationship. If that person didn't want them snakes there and they was that terrified, no matter how much they love you, they're not gonna want to be there. That's not gonna be that place of peace, if that makes sense.
I think it's levels to it. But I definitely agree. I think every reptile keeper in a relationship has at least once or twice snuck in a snake or two.
No, I've never snuck in a snake. I've always said I'm getting it.
Well, obviously, we're not talking about you.
You know what? I can't stand you. You said every reptile owner that would consider me, but I get your point now. I'm gonna move on since you being
excluding Lady T. No, yeah, I definitely have snuck in, you know, a reptile or two, and you know, and I get confronted about it. I'm just like, no, I've been had that one, you know, because I'm relying on the fact that they don't know snakes. So I'm like, no, that one went through a color change. But would I do that now? No, I wouldn't. No, I'm trying to behave, so I don't scare off my new friend, because she doesn't mind the snakes. But she's not like, ooh, I want to hold one, but she's interested in seeing what I do. So she talked on like some of the podcasts and seen like my Instagram and stuff like that. So she's like, oh, okay, so you got like snakes. I got so many. But
right. See, that's another thing. You can say that to a person you met. I got snakes. All they see is 3 ball pythons and enclosures, and then they come to your house and you got, forget the snakes. Like, don't even accept it. That was the easy part. Explain to her that I got a gram. I got a cake.
Right. Yeah.
Like, if this is getting serious, where's the hangman on the land? Like,
she knows about them too, and it's always like, they're in your house.
But, and that's what I'm saying. So imagine being a person not into reptiles. So we think it's snakes. So you're out on the date and you're telling this person about who you are, what you do, whatever. And, you know, I got snakes. Yeah, I got this snake. I got a boa constrictor. I got a ball python or whatever. That person in their mind may have processed that. But then she goes to Dre's house and he failed to mention a beaded lizard, a caiman. Come on, Dre. I'm missing stuff. Like,
monster.
That right there. Say that to somebody. Most people like, I'm not even going to your house.
You know what she thinks the craziest animal that I have is, of course, and you're going to agree, is the anaconda. She's like, you have an anaconda? I was like, and she was like, oh no.
I mean, I'm just saying.
But she did say, she's like, if you ever need help cleaning cages, I'll help. She said, the anaconda, you got to do it.
Ball pythons, you can just mix it in the crowd.
Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But she was like, yeah, the anaconda is enough for me. I said, all you got to do is not watch TV. They're not as bad as you think.
Well, I mean, that's true to that, but I'm just saying, to a non-reptile owner, even if, like, say, for instance, if the movie didn't trigger that person one way or the other, right? Mm-hmm. They now walk into your house. We talked at dinner about this. You had snakes, you know, and all of that in mind, they see, you know, like, and I think even like, I remember when my cousin and them came here, they know I have snakes, but when they really see a retic, or when the guy come and put in the new furnace system, and he knows his cage is in here, he's like, oh, can I go see the snakes? And you go, yeah. And he's like, oh, like they're not ready for that size of a snake.
Just last week on Wednesday, I got into a little altercation, so the police was called, and they came to talk to me. We'll talk about that off camera.
Okay.
They came to talk to me because it was I had to pull my gun out on somebody, but it wasn't my fault. They was coming at me, you know. But anyway, so they came to talk to me, and they was talking to me, and I was like, y'all can step in here. And I was like, so looking around, like, so I was at the shop and I was like, what are you guys doing here? I was like, oh yeah, we sell reptiles. Well, I was like, it's my brother's shop. He, sells fish and
Right.
reptiles. And I was like, my reptiles are here. So I'm mostly just, caring for the reptiles and then doing a few things for him before I leave. And it was like, so you guys have snakes? And then like coming from around the corner, because he was loose, slithering from around the corner, here comes Luther. And he was like, holy shit. When I tell you, I lost my mind. They were cool cops. They were super cool, super cool. But he was like, no. And he told me, he said next time, if whatever happens again, he was like, don't try to shoot him. Just throw a snake on him. Like, I can't throw a snake on anybody.
Two things. We used to joke about this in the funeral home. Two things that if you can go in the hood. Go into the hoodies of the hood. Go into South Side Chicago hood, okay? And you can have a hearse and put on the front seat of that hearse $100 bill, or on the front seat of that hearse a snake, right? Nobody's touching it because it's in a hearse. If you take a snake and put the snake in a fancy Louis Vuitton bag, as bad as that person wants that Louis Vuitton bag, they're not going to touch it because they got to get past the snake. Snakes, it amazes me why people are so fearful for them. But like you said, like with police, fire department, like firemen, like when you heard Cecilia tell the story, like the firemen wanted to go in, except for this one said, I'll go in there and help you because they were so afraid of snakes. Like because we love them and we live with them, I can't get the concept of the fear, like that level of fear.
But one thing I've learned, and this is from my experience, my opinion, when I talk to people, you see me ask like my questions and stuff on Facebook. When I talk to people and ask them, what they fear about snakes or why they fear, nobody can give me like an actual reason that's not driven. Like they have a fear that's driven by fear, but they can't tell me where that fear came from. And it's like, how does that make sense? So you mean to tell me that you're cool with trying new things? Like one person, it's a plethora of reasons, but none of them make sense to a reptile. Like somebody who thinks logically, because you keep these animals, it's not going to make sense. And it's just like, why don't you like snakes? Oh, they just real untrustworthy. Well, what makes you say that? Oh, they just seem like you can't trust them. Well, it's not a person, so what would you trust them with? Like, I don't understand. And it's like, I think people overthink what snakes are, and it all boils down to they're animals. And I never, like you said, never will understand why people fear snakes. There's so many movies about dogs being aggressive or dogs attacking people, but there's people out here like, oh my gosh, I'm scared of dogs. And of course there are people that are scared of dogs, but I feel like nationally snakes are the most feared animal, and rightfully we have people trying to ban them in almost every fucking state. And it's all because we all know what lions, tigers, bears, and everything are capable of, but we don't see them being killed for no. I mean, people go over to Africa and do it, which I also think is stupid, but nobody is out here actively trying to cancel lions and tigers and bears. I mean, honestly, we're gonna be completely honest. I'm way more scared of them, and they can do a lot more damage than any of my snakes can. So, like, the fear that people have for these animals isn't driven by anything. It's driven just because people don't trust them, I guess. And fear isn't a natural emotion that people are taught, and I don't think people understand that.
Well, like KT said, we fear what we don't understand. But that's the point, though. I think that's the mistake that people make sometimes in relationships. Like when you're dating someone who is not into reptiles, we feel like we don't owe them an explanation, and you do. Like you do. If you want this to be a lasting, trustworthy relationship, or a relationship where that person will at least be supportive, because I don't need to share every passion my husband shared, and vice versa. We are still two individual people, right? But if anything where if I have to invest in something, I don't care what it is. Like even when I'm choosing, I'm looking at Robinhood and I'm just choosing what I'm going to put money into. I have to believe in it. Most of the time, it's products or services or companies that I already have some association with, like Apple or Boeing. Something where I benefit from it on a day-to-day basis, something where I have to have a common interest to want to put money into it. Most of us not going to put money into something that we don't, that's totally unknown or misunderstood, unless you know, you just got it like that. I think, you know, I have to be frivolous and very strategic with my coins. So I typically need to know where my money is going to go. And for most people in relationships don't understand it. One of the biggest things where a marriage will fail is finances. You can have two people who get along perfectly, but if you got one person who respects the finances and another one who disrespects it and decides that in the disrespect is no need to communicate, that ain't going to work. Could you imagine, you know, a husband or wife, and I just want to say a husband, or someone going out and making all these thousands of dollars to bring it into the home and you misappropriate the funds? You don't think that even if they love you, that at some point they'll get tired of that and decide that this is not the relationship for me?
You costing me money, and at that point, you're just another bill. Who wants that?
Well, and at the end of the day, people come into relationships different, like sometimes on different levels. Like some people come in already established. I'm not going to want, you shouldn't want to bring down your already established persons because you're trying to establish your business, especially without communication. Like if you have someone who want to invest in you, that's different. If you have a partner who say, all right, babe, sounds good. Don't know nothing about it, but here's $50,000. I hope that helps. You know, you're not going to get that from somebody that you just don't care what they think or you don't care to explain. And I just think that that's one of the things that we have to do differently. And I get it. You meet somebody, because that would be me. I'm into reptiles, and that person was like, "Oh, I can't date nobody who be in a reptile." So, well, y'all can end the day. Y'all just met. This is not the path you need to go. Don't go any further. That person made it clear to you that this ain't gonna be a long-term relationship for them.
And that's why, like, I that's one of the first things I say. Like, I don't. It's not something that I keep on my dating profile. But when I talked to this girl and I told her, like, she asked me what my hobbies were. And I told her, I said shoes, guns, and I said reptiles. And I said reptiles last. And that was the only thing she asked about. And she was like, so what kind of reptiles? That's my favorite question. What kind of reptiles? And I'm just like, oh, you know, a couple lizards, ... And then I sent that text. And then I went back with quite a few some pictures. So I sent her like I sent her a couple pictures off my Instagram. And she was like, oh, okay. She's like, I mean, I've never been around snakes. I'm not like terrified of them. She's like, but I'm curious to know more about them. I was like, that's all I need to hear.
Right.
Is,
and no. She's open to it, you know.
Yeah.
Just don't hand it an anaconda first because you know that one bites. Give her one.
Nah, yeah, I wouldn't. I don't let nobody hold that one. Yeah. But But yeah. She's been friendly. She's cool. Yeah. We're gonna see how it go. You know, I'm gonna let you know.
Well, I haven't met her I haven't vetted her yet. So from the picture, she looks like she's a very sweet girl.
She is.
She's
supposed to be on the podcast.
You've been nicer in the last 2 weeks.
Oh my God. I was hoping you didn't say that.
Man, you have been a lot kinder in the last 2 weeks. I will say that.
I hear you.
So she gets points.
Oh snap!
Because it was a moment, it was a little ride. You was just woo, child. I was like, okay.
I'm gonna hear about it later because she's supposed to watch the playback.
Okay, yeah, watch the playback. Wait a minute.
I told her.
You know who you are. He's been a lot nicer in the last 2 weeks.
I'm always nice. I'm always nice, Nicole.
I had someone assume that I left the tarantulas free roam. No, they're all in enclosures. They're not yet. You have more than one. Look, Tammy. All 12 of them, I inspect to make sure they are where they're supposed to be before I go to bed, and that they are where they're supposed to be when I wake up. Let me tell you what will make me leave this house. Is if we wake up and one of those old worlds are out, and we don't know where it's at.
Yeah, them old worlds are some OGs, and they mean business.
Yes, even how they move, they are so different from my new world. How they eat, like they just so like aggressively and aggressive and fast. So yeah, I'm with husband, and I love them. They're beautiful. I tell anybody, get you tarantulas, put them in a nice display. They
I
are
got
good.
two, and that's where she draw the line. She said, if they ever get loose, we are done. I was like,
Yeah, buddy, I can do. Yeah, there's nothing else in here that will make me leave, but that
so why you got tarantulas if you scared of them to get loose?
they pretty. So I'm not scared of them like to the point where like
Hey, I ain't gonna lie.
like I'm
I
not
just find
scared
it.
of like to have them right here. What I don't want them is not knowing where they are. I'm scared to get bit by them.
Said they pretty. You
They
made me
are
fart when I
beautiful.
laughed. I'm not gonna lie about that. Oh,
They
man.
are they are beautiful. Like I love just watching them.
They
And
are.
they are.
They
And
are.
then some of the things they do, like to watch a tarantula groom themselves, how like they constantly like, like I always say like they're in the mirror all the time. Like they constantly, it's so cool.
Did you name
to
all of them
watch that.
Nicole?
Huh?
Did you name all of them Nicole?
No, they all got different
That's
names.
how you be in the mirror.
No, I don't.
Tell me I'm
Every
pretty.
time I barely look. Only time I look in the mirror is I'm going out. I can care less what I look like in this house. If y'all
I
walk in
hear
this
you.
house and I look like crap, I look like crap.
It may not be this one, but one of your other personalities, I'm sure, be in the mirror.
That's the one that's going out. Like the one that leaves the house. Yeah, I said that. I said the one who leaves the
Look,
house, but the one in the house.
these
Don't
damn
care.
Geminis will never. These
Trust
Geminis will never not admit that they have too many personalities. She'd be like, "Yeah, that's Nikki.
That's a
That's
fact.
she cool."
That's a fact. Any Gemini who say they don't, they lying.
Man,
they
listen, I already know. I got a sister that's a Gemini. Listen, I already know.
Two different personalities.
Y'all
And then
are,
too, I
y'all
think
are a
like
special group of people.
for me, that's one of the things I enjoy about not having to go out no more. Like having to go, like get up and get dressed, like dress. You know what I'm saying? So even now, like if I'm going out to get rodents and stuff like that, and one of the reasons why is that I just never know who I'm gonna run into.
You said rotors?
Rodents. Like if I have to go
Oh,
and get
I
rodents
was
or
like
anything like that.
rotors. That's so fucking specific.
No,
Rotors.
no, I've never. I couldn't even tell you what a rotor looked like. I am the take it to the dealership girl. What do you do and fix it? No. You shout out to all the women who can get underneath a car, and shout out to all the fathers who had daughters who were willing. I wasn't the one. Pam
Rotors
can,
you can do
the girl
yourself.
can, my sister can. Pam can change rotors. She can do brakes. She can do stuff in the engine. I wasn't the
Listen.
daughter. I wasn't the daughter. I was the cheerleader.
I can see that. I can see that.
I'm gonna go find a football player or a basketball player who can do that. I'm not.
Oh man, I'm weak.
I wasn't under the car with my dad, who taught. Like my dad was big on teaching that kind of stuff. That's why my brothers are really good at that. I just wasn't that daughter. I'm good at. I did get the fishing and the shooting and all that stuff from him, but not that.
Facts, Elias.
I miss Elias' wishes.
Elias said if the whole world escapes, he gonna burn the house down. Slim gonna burn the house down.
Look, we'll be doing it together. I'm out. But there's no way they should ever be able to get out. And the weird thing is that if the tarantulas don't really show much of an interest in wanting to escape type of thing. Now I do believe if the top is off, they will just trail out.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like if a tarantula getting loose, you definitely fucked up somewhere. You didn't put the top on, or you left too much room for air. Because a snake will actually like push or break something to get out. Tarantula ain't doing all that. They're too fragile.
Yeah. It's not going to put it. I think it's dangerous for them too. Trying to really like fish with their legs and stuff. Okay, Holly. Okay. It's AJ Tammy. This is why I'm single. I'm not explaining nothing about my animals. And that's good, Elias. That's what it's okay with that. I say that. I used to say that to Dre all the time. It's okay to be single. You already know that. That's what you should do.
The one thing that I had to learn, it wasn't even that I didn't want to explain about my animal. It just I didn't like the fact that if the bills are paid and everything is cool, I didn't like the fact of having to get approval from you to spend my money. But it was the way I was looking at it. So I mean, I understand now, like, okay, out of respect, but also we were living together. I'm not living with anybody right now. So no, I'm not checking with anybody right now. However, whenever it comes to that point again, I do understand, like, if I want, this person to stay around, I do have to make them feel comfortable as well. And I understand everybody is fond of snakes. So I got to pick and choose. But me, I'm the type of person, I'm gonna put together a whole presentation and tell you why I need to get this animal. Like, it can be a written book report, it can be a PowerPoint, but you're gonna hear my pitch.
See, my husband is always what's gonna come out of it, like the ball pythons, he was all into it. Once he realized that you breed them, you gonna sell them, like, okay, woo.
I knew he was a lost cause. That first year y'all came to Tinley and we was talking and he came and got you and said he saw some of them jeans y'all was looking for. I forgot what jeans it was. And he was like, found some over here.
So when we first got to Tinley, he was really liking the Xanax, and then everywhere he went, he was like, Xanax. I mean, he didn't know what it was. He was like, I like that stick. I'm like, that's another Xanax. It was different lines of Xanax. So he found it was a TSK actually, and then he saw the BPI, and that's where he ended up like, oh no, I want the BPI. That's the only reason why I got Xanax in my ball python collection, because it was not a gene that was on my radar.
That shit was so funny. Nicole was up like,
because he didn't know how he was going to like the first 10. Like, he was like, so what do y'all do? Just walk around and look at snakes? Like, he didn't understand the whole concept of it.
People are always like, what do y'all do with these reptile conventions? Do you like take your reptiles? I'm like, no. But as soon as he came over there and said he found some Xanthics, Nicole looked at me and was like, we got his ass.
I was like, okay. And then I was like, he was like, as soon as we get back, we got to buy. As soon as we got off the plane, I was on Fourth Market.
Look, man, people don't understand, but whether you breeding or not, it is very addicting. And it's like, there's always like something when you like, dang, them is beautiful, them is dope. And it's like, you definitely got to find that line between hoarding and actually buying, because every animal that I have, especially the caiman, especially all three of the lizards, just because of what they're capable of.
Yeah, because I
did like a year of research before I got it.
So, right, since 2 of the ball pythons are now in the rec system, 2 of the ones that was in the fancy enclosure. I mean, they are. I'm being serious. So, two of the ones. You think I'm being smart and I'm being
No, I'm sorry. I know.
Okay. All right. So now with the upgraded enclosures coming, I got 2 of the enclosures, and you know, I never liked the skink. You know it, Dre. You know them things make me like the other day.
The skink.
The skinks. But listen, I saw the best on earth from Lizard North the other night on Hair Down. When I tell you that someone went and said, "Can you do you have a rainbow, coral glow, sun glow skink?" He pulled one out, like the best colors that you ever was going to see. And now I want one. I want the all white one.
I can't. I don't. And it's funny because skinks scare me. I don't like.
Me too. Here's something scary. You know they scare me.
But it's funny because the Gila monster and the lizards kind of move the same way. It's just they just look so skinky. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
Keisha, look, you don't have to retire. Let me tell you a quick way out. The reptile community needs a social media guru. There's your way, sis. There's your way.
Yeah, I can't.
Doing what you love. Doing what you love.
I'm not coming to Tinley. I'm not gonna make it.
I think he's purposely not doing it so we can't vet her, Elias, because he was coming until he met her. Now all of a sudden we can't vet her. I think that's what it is. If you're watching, you should come to Tinley. It's only 5 hours away from where y'all live.
She know where it's at. She's heard of Tinley, number one. Number two. I wasn't about to invite her. That's a little too soon, number one. Number two, you know I'm not coming to Tinley, so.
I just know. I just found out though. What, a week ago?
Okay, but you know.
Yeah, but that wasn't the plan initially. So Wayne and
I'll be there in October.
For weighted as long as our quality of life doesn't suffer outside of the snakes, they're all welcome. Roof over our heads, food on the table, bills. Exactly. And I'll
They
make
got it
sacrifices.
figured out. They got it figured out. Man.
Yeah, and that's the one thing my husband can say. Like, I don't like. If I elevate in this one area, if I'm spending more money in this one area, I'll lose interest in spending money in another area. On purpose. I would never want us to. Well, first of all, if we got to have a roof overhead because the snakes have to have a place to live. That's why I pay the mortgage. That's how we pay the mortgage. It's just. It doesn't make sense to bankrupt yourself. And that's another thing. I think when it comes to like what you can have, it's not just about space. And we talked about that before. Like for my husband, imagine if this level of the house was important to him. And I just was so inconsiderate in getting all these things. And then this level of the house is nothing but animals, right? Nothing. So like right now, I wish he would give up the man cave, but he's not. But let's say if I was that type of wife that was like, I'm just putting a rack down here. Like at some point, he would say, bitch, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not doing this.
He gonna draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And we that's just not the fair thing to do. So the fair thing to do is just hope and wish and pray that one day he at least give me, the man cave is huge. Give me half.
Even then though, even outside of the reptiles, who wants a relationship like that? Because like you said, it's gonna give off the vibe. Like it don't matter what I say to this girl, she gonna do whatever the fuck she want to do. So if that's the case, I'm gonna go do whatever I want to do, but I'm gonna do it by my fucking self. I don't want to do no relationship like that, and I'm not about to waste my time. So we gonna either work this out, communicate, and talk. And because like I said, now that I'm older, I understand. It's gonna be some times, and I'm like, I'm trying to get all that shit like now, but.
See, that's why you
gotta compromise.
This is the key, y'all. You don't have to compromise if you find somebody who loves you as much as you love yourself. I think that, like, for me, it's easy because people always say I'm not spoiled. It's not it. It's just that I don't ask for much either. Oh, I'm not. So you gotta appreciate a woman who always, like even though I have a husband, I was never ever a woman who said, babe, can you give me this pocketbook? Or babe, can you get my nails done? No, or babe, can you buy me this car? I would come home with a new car and like, babe, look what I did. You know what I'm saying? So for him the things he do for me, I think it's like those are things that I can't, or not gonna say can't. Like for instance, as much as I love Balenciagas, I will not pay $1,200 for a pair of shoes for myself, y'all. But my husband makes sure that I have Balenciagas in flavor. You see what I'm saying?
The reason I say I compromise is because I know I be asking outside of the reptiles. I know sometimes some of the stuff I ask for is outlandish. So you gotta find that common ground.
I'll tell you
who it is. Candy, and she talking about she late, but y'all was talking about me on the Facebook last night on the book space.
But Candy is not reporting to work.
But look, even you said, I don't care about none of that. Even you said, oh, Dre, you earlier than I thought you was. Okay.
You was super earlier than I thought you was going to be. You was. I came out of prayer. See? I came out of prayer. And
you prayed for me to be here. I popped in like, that's what happened.
I pray a lot. I pray for a lot of people at a lot of times. Y'all just don't know. I pray for you because I'm not sure.
I needed it.
I pray that you stay out of jail. I pray for a lot of people a lot of times. I pray for myself.
I mean, I'm not religious, but I still appreciate it.
But prayer has nothing to do with religion. It's spirituality. I'm a spiritual person. I can't tell you the last time I danced in church, but I was doing it for the Lord right here in this house.
Oh yeah.
I'm scared of new worlds too, but some of them are so pretty. My main thing is I don't want teas that are just a pile of dirt to look at.
And then pile of dirt be fire though, because I'm telling you, drop a cricket in there and see them come out. That's like my favorite part.
Isn't that cool?
I like the variety.
And some of them are very methodic in how they construct it, and don't mess with it because then I'll go back and do it again.
Man, listen, I'll be like looking in the trap door. And mine will come up and pull the damn door cut. Like, you letting all my damn cold air out.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so if people don't pay attention to animals like that, you're missing out. Tarantulas are like ants are super dope in how they singly do things in their enclosure. To watch them, like I said, groom themselves, kind of like look like they cleaning up their enclosure sometimes, and like how the ones who make webs, they literally like build upon those webs and stuff.
The exclusive webbers are my favorite. That's why I like GBBs or chromatopelma. Those are my favorite. I love seeing how they web. Like everything is webbed.
Yeah, I was surprised because I didn't know my GBB was going to actually be a Weber. I didn't know.
Yeah, they're heavy webbers.
That he is like this dude got this whole thing just went out. I'm like, what in the world?
I had mine for like a couple of years. I went in there like one day and I saw some of the webs. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like it was like very faint, but you could see webs. And I checked on them like 2 days later, and it was just like web was everywhere, and it was like a little hole. And
right.
Just going.
I tell anyone I ever dealt with snakes or part of me, either you get down or you lay down.
You know what I'm saying?
They're dangerous. Like,
put up or shut up. Hey, that's all it is.
Christina, I had to help my boyfriend work on his car. He didn't know what to do. He just needed a new battery. He had never replaced one before, let alone work on a car before. I think it's dope when women can just go out there and just do it. I would break down and cry and call my husband from wherever I am. This is the light. This is the light. I'll send him pictures. I'll be sitting there. Let me FaceTime you.
Don't be explaining shit right. Be like, it's the light with the thing.
That's why he wants to FaceTime. Look, Dre. He only know why. He's like, just FaceTime. He like, and then one day I thought the BMW was telling me that I could not drive the car because something was wrong with the tire, but the tire looked fine. He said, babe, it's telling you that the tire pressure is lower than the other tires on the car. You can drive home. I was like, oh, okay. Why can't it just say that? The other cars just say your tire pressure is low. Why got to be telling me all this extra information of how fast I can go and all of that? I don't need all of that fancy stuff. Just
because you wanted the BMW, so that's what you got.
No, that's not why I wanted it. That's not why I wanted it. I promise you. That's not why I wanted it. I wanted to. I don't need all of that fancy stuff. Like, I don't like lights just turning on in cars and stuff like that. Like, I'm almost 50. My equilibrium is off.
Yeah. Nicole had a lot of Nicole had a lot of shit to talk about my car first time she saw my car.
No,
then had the nerve.
Wait a minute, y'all. Wait a minute.
Then had the nerve at Tinley to ask me for a ride to the hotel. I was like, your husband can get in, but you about to walk because I'm not sick of you.
It was like this.
Yo.
You got King Dre, and I want to go drive King Dre and things. The car all souped up. I'm like, and I think the first time I
not
saw it,
souped
like,
up,
is that
man.
your car?
Yeah.
I was like, please tell me you don't got King Dre on text. Please tell me.
Yeah, I do. It's not, my car is not souped up. I ain't made that many. The changes I made to my car now, I hadn't even made then. I had only had my windows tinted. That was it. But since then,
no, I remember something else like that, something with the tires or something else. It was something else. It made the car look dark because it wasn't
those were stock. Those came with the car.
Oh, okay.
I just changed my rims. They all blacked out now. I got the tinted window. I got my tint darker, and then I'm about to get the sunroof put in and get my new little radio system. But that's it. But yeah, you ain't have to.
I said that is very narcissistic, is what I said.
Did. I was like, it's just my name.
Yo, it's the first time we met in person too. If you,
I've been to Tinley and I've had like 3 or 4 people like, hey, are you here in Tinley? I see your car. I'm like, shit, I gotta
right. They said, look, you wait a minute, you might want to change the tag.
Oh man, yeah.
Get in there.
My car is not souped up. I'm not rich like Nicole. I just got something.
Oh, I ain't like rich.
Right. Get me point A to point B.
Even look, I'm 19. Look, we 2000 rich. We not 2023 rich.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
We got that semi-old money. You know what I'm saying? Yo.
We Clinton rich. We not Biden rich.
That part.
Oh my God, y'all.
Fabulous check rich over here. I need me a stimmy.
Right. I don't like blue tongue skink, but I'll tell you, Tammy, did you see them on Hair Down? I was not a fan of. In fact, even beginning of Hair Down, I said something like, "Blue tongue skinks make me skink." Like they just, be a snake or be a lizard. When he pulled out them skinks, my whole mind changed. I was like, well, how much is that one in my head? I'm like, oh, the white one. It was the white one, and it was like this one who was like black and orange. Like they were insane. Anything. People kept saying, well, do you have this color? He can pull it out. Then they started combining colors. He could pull it out. That's how many skinks I saw the other day. And none of the ones I ever seen looked like the ones he had.
Hey, somebody need to keep an eye on her at Tinley.
Oh, I hope he's not at Tinley. Let me find out. Do y'all do Lizzie Moore's coming to Tinley? Because isn't he in Australia somewhere? I don't think he's coming to Tinley.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Maine, the canine animal, but I finally came with the realization that I can't have it because if I die, there is nobody I can leave it to. Yeah, you got to find someone to say, hey, I need to say, can you take care of the Cayman? Right, Christine, his father knew someone that worked on cars, so that what he did in the past, we moved to another state, so that isn't an option anymore. My daughter, Lexi, from L&B Dragons, get out. I didn't even know that was your daughter. Moved and couldn't take her snakes, so she gave them to me. 4 females added is always good. Oh.
Well, at least they went to a good home.
I was in a relationship with someone who lied about having allergies, so we couldn't have cats. Needless to say, the whole relationship was garbage. That's sad.
See, the dating pool out here is
right, Keisha. Just because you jealous of the cat.
Hold on. Don't lie. Tell us it was Terrence, wasn't it? I'm just playing. No, they got cats now.
Terrence cat actually made a debut in Hair Down the other day.
Yeah,
he got out the chair. The cat came right in the back of the chair. There has to be a certain amount of compromise on both parts for things to work. Absolutely. That's it. That's the key word, compromise. Unselfishly. Like some days you won't have to give in when you just don't want to, and that's my thing. Like when I see like my husband is adamant about something, I put down a fight. Like if I because he don't normally I get my way, but if he really is adamant about it, that's how I know that I must compromise on it. Like this is his thing right here. Standing in the line for a pair of tennis shoes at 12 o'clock is a thing. Well, it hasn't been for years, but there was a thing at one point, and I could not, y'all, when I tell you I could not comprehend that, I could not. I refuse. This weekend, I was told I should release all my reptiles. I was told they would shoot my reptiles. Folks just ignorant. Wow.
Dang. You know what's crazy?
Yeah, what I'm saying, like this stuff really happens. It's really people that angry. You have to be one envious person. Like
I would have been on the news.
Handcuffs.
They threaten my kids.
I just like cats, just not litter boxes and outdoors. It's not an option. Those are fighting words, Mrs. Candy. Someone tells me they're going to shoot my reptiles. Yep. I think that's for most reptile people. Like the eyebrow raises real quick. He made it a point to be on time, but next week he's going to be late again.
Y'all won't. I ain't going to be late.
I wish Elias got hit by that bullet twice before I wised up. Yep. Sometimes. That's what it takes. But you have to have those situations to know what you can and cannot deal with, what you will and will not stand for, or how to communicate. Like I'm telling y'all, Capricorns do not go hard with Capricorns. They will tone you out and make a decision on their own quietly.
What are you telling? I'm trying to raise a goddamn Capricorn. This girl's stressing me out. Like, bruh, I'm telling her this morning, come here, we can put your coat on, and she just staring at me like.
They will tone you out.
Little girl, what's wrong with you?
Yep. And that's crazy because sometimes I just look and I'm like, okay. And that's how you win against a Gemini. Be quiet and walk away.
Oh yeah, y'all can argue. You can argue with yourself.
That's how you win.
Well,
That's
that way you can feel like you won something. You can get a participation trophy. Here you go. Well, I ain't
right.
about to argue with you.
I love all our level of violence when it comes to our animals.
Facts.
That was one of the biggest red flags. I can understand if someone is scared of your animals, but if the compatibility isn't there, then that's something to think about. Yes.
But to lie about it though.
And even with that, like you said, Keisha, like the compromise. So you know the person is scared of them. So maybe you don't put them in a place where they have to engage with them all the time or walk past them all the time. You know, you got to gradually bring people into that. Like, or, maybe like if you're dating, somebody new, and let's say they are afraid of this particular animal. Maybe, when they come over, y'all go into the room where the other animal is not there. So
Why not just say, "Oh, it's not gonna work. You have cats, and I don't like cats." Why lie? Because it's going to like that's
because that's the manipulative person. That's the narcissistic person. Because really it was. I just don't like that the cat makes you happy. That's what it really is. And so you find something that makes you happy outside of me. I don't want it. So that's it.
Even then though, like the way I look at it, no person can make me happy. I have to make myself happy. And but like you said, it's manipulator. But that is and I've been in that predicament, but it's weird. Like I'll never understand it. I will never understand it. I don't want somebody that has to depend on me for their happiness. That's draining, exhausting, and it's not real. You can't be happy on your own. You're not gonna be happy with anybody. Good.
Yep. You have to be happy with yourself first. We always have at least two when we can. Yeah, so we used to have cats all the time, but my stepdaughter really was allergic to them. Like even Slim is allergic to them, but he will sneeze every morning.
I'm not a cat person. As I've gotten older,
my stepdaughter got real allergy, horrible.
You got about 3 of these before I get irritated. You got about 3 of them. Yes. That third one, something gonna have to happen.
Like, they said my lady and my son are Capricorns, and Jesus help me sometimes when they're in their mood. Yes, I'm telling you, Capricorns are the worst. Man. I mean, it is a good thing for their character and their personality, I guess, to be able to tone you out like that. But it's when you're a Gemini, you want somebody to like at least respond, and they just walk away and say nothing. You like.
Because y'all are special. Y'all special. Y'all need to be put in a padded room. Because there's
That's what I'm saying. Like they always say, if you will kill, and I said that actually, Keisha, somebody put that on one of my posts, one of my shorts, and I said, you know what they say about people who kill animals? Like you something wrong with you.
Yeah. I got banned on TikTok for responding to somebody that was gonna kill my snakes. I was like, so I get banned, but they are gonna do harm to an animal, but I got banned for calling them a bitch. Okay. Y'all know I ain't gonna hold back. It is what it is.
That is worse. Oh my God. I mean, so all right, so let's sum it up. We are an hour in. I will say that first of all, like Keisha said, red flags. If a person lies about something to just not want you to have something, probably not the person for you. And if you are passionate about animals, and when you tell somebody and they start to say never ever, just not, no, I'm not coming around and stuff like that, they typically really mean that. It's a difference between somebody saying you got snakes, oh my God, I'm afraid of them, opposed to the person's like, I'm afraid of them, I ain't never coming around there, or I don't like them, I can't stand them, I'm gonna kill them, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that may not be the person for you. But if you find someone that's willing to learn about them, and someone who's actually just trying to get to understand the why you love them, please be patient and give them that. You are not going to win if you really like that person. Like, if it's not somebody you're really interested in, cut it off. I don't care, whatever. But if it's somebody that you're interested in, sometimes I think what happens is people miss out on good people, good relationships, because they're so stubborn in their own way, and in their own passions, that they don't hear, they don't listen to what the person is saying. So someone saying that I'm afraid or I don't like, don't mean that I won't deal or I won't cope. But you have to make sure that that person is willing to learn or understand. And you can't force things upon them. You can't force them to be help with those animals if they already made it clear in the beginning that they're not big on them. They're not, a big fan of them. Gradually, those things happen as your relationships mature. I never thought, and I said it all the time again, to put things in perspective. We were together 14 years before I saw my husband ever touch a snake. And to see like how now, like he was the first one to notice T'Challa was laying her eggs, and he came running up the stairs, babe, T'Challa laying her eggs. Like to see the excitement from him is good. It's a big thing, and I fall in love with him even more and more and more every day that he falls more and more in love with my passion as well. So that's the good thing, and vice versa. Like the things that he's passionate about, I'm very passionate about them too, or I, actually show interest in them. But what I've seen over the last couple of years when we have become more invested in this is that he's as passionate about this as I am. Like he's becoming the partner and not just my partner, if that makes sense, when it comes to the reptiles. So I think that all those years and the patience and not forcing it upon him, or sometimes in the beginning, never even like really talking much about him, you know what I'm saying, to him, just because it wasn't no interest until, he started asking questions. So be patient with that person because you might miss out on a good deal of a person. If you're not patient. One of the great stories you hear, Mark Manick, when he talked about Jane wasn't always big on reptiles, and look now, they have one of the most longest standing reptile distribution and sell company, Marks and Jane, and Jane wasn't always a fan. So people tell me all the time, I never come to your house with all the snakes. I reply, you never had an invite. Yeah, you don't have to come. That's one of the things. Most people who own snakes don't want people to come. Like that's the reality of. That's why we have snakes. We
start becoming the snake. We start becoming solitary, and we're okay.
Yeah. All right, so that's y'all so damn cute it hurts. Oh, whatever.
Don't act like
right. Bring her to Tilly. That's all. Look, looking lions. Tell her bring her to Tilly, so we can see how darn cute y'all are.
I'm not coming to Tilly, but I'll be there in October.
You'll bring it to October if she's still around. She'll be around.
I told her you stuck. This is the last one that I'm going on.
That's it.
I told her, I said, this the last one that I'm going on. I'm gonna go on one of the marriage shows where I go get me when I'm in the country. I'm gonna be like, sit down. Sit. Don't move.
Oh my God. It's good. But when you do find that somebody is amazing, like look at like a Terrence and a Keisha, Emilio
they be putting on. You know what I'm saying? I need me a little camera girl. Like Miguel.
But it's big, but is it bigger than that? Like literally to have that person who's holding you down. Like I love to hear Keith tell the story about. He didn't even, create Keys Constrictors. It was an idea, and she ran with it. Before he knew it, they had platforms. He had Instagram. He had everything. You know what I'm saying? That's like a good story. You know what I'm saying? And then to see the two of them grow more every day. And a lot of people, a lot of the couples that's in the hobby. One of my dreams is one day that, me and Slim would become a Will and Audra. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's super dope that when you're doing it, 100% together. But I'm patient with that. I don't want it to be him, just totally into it and just forgetting everything else that he's, got going on personally for himself too, because that's important to emerge. Is that still has.
Y'all on your way. Y'all about to be a recent power couple out this bitch.
I would love to see one day that happens. And I think we get closer and closer. Like the fact that even coming on the podcast was like, huh? My husband don't do social media too. Like, I'm like, oh. He was like, yeah, I'll do it, you know. So
Man,
that was
listen, that was a good little episode. I was like, look at that.
yeah, like he don't do it, and so that's a big thing, you know. That was significant. Or like I say, you'll see people all the time saying, "I can't believe I see Slim doing this, that, and other," because they, you know, watched it over the years. But just for you, Nissy, 357, hell yeah, 357, get loose.
All right, this girl just started singing, so we're gonna end this.
Casey, he be hating on it on 357. Wow, didn't lose. He be hating on it. Somebody else needs
Hey,
to make
Elias, you and Maki need to get on that dating app thing. Go ahead and make y'all a little reptile dating app. Because if she make one more post, I'm gonna say something.
That's the VIP special start $59.99. So funny. All right, y'all. So I hope everybody has an amazing day. Remember to continue to lift Brian and his family up in his prayers. Remember, every Monday there will be a prayer. If you don't like prayer, join in probably 10 minutes after, because every Monday we will start it off. And to Brian, let us know that he is all right. It will be a prayer up in here, up in here. I have experienced dating someone in the reptile community, and when you have someone that loves them as much as you, there's no self-control. I am sure, but that would be fun. Because if there's no self-control, then the alligator just comes to the door, alligator, and he'll just come in and turn it. Babe, got that alligator for you, babe.
Yeah, I do need somebody that's gonna tell me no, because if not, I'm gonna try to buy all of Columbus Zoo's reptiles. So I need somebody that's gonna be like, no, Dre,
right?
You can't buy a fucking.
I need that too. I do. I do need someone to say, no.
Because I'll be the one like, the zoo is shutting down. They having a liquidation sale. This Komodo dragon, come on now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, good and damn well it's gonna eat my ass, but you know, ain't shit.
Yeah. Yep. But it's good when you find that person. But like I said, I think it's better though sometimes when you find a person outside the reptile community that start to love reptiles, opposed to the person who's already in the community. Because like Candy was saying, that could be like definitely horrible as far as finances when you got two people who have no limits. If T wants something, I'm like, okay. Alligator walks in the house. Look who followed me home. Exactly.
Facts.
Depending on where you are, that could be really offending.
be like that TikTok. They gave it to me. They gave it to me.
That's right, Rock. United we stand. All right, and that's I think that's the note we probably leave out on, Rock. Let's see.
Make sure y'all like this video up. We only have 7 likes. Make sure y'all like it up.
I think that's what you see. I see more. I think depending on what time you look at it, so don't be being mean.
I ain't mean. Okay, I see 15. Hold on.
Yeah, so it does that to me too. I don't know why.
Whatever.
All right, so we're going to end on this. Please pray with our season for our pioneer and fellow reptile enthusiast, Brian Barchak. Everybody have an amazing day. Peace.